Blue Shirt faithful, I welcome you to Rink Rap right here, part of Forever Blueshirts. I'm Jim Cerny. Join us at Jim Cerny. That's on X, at Forever Blueshirts. That's on X. And of course, check out our website at Forever Blueshirts for all things New York Rangers. That's both during the season, games 1 through 82, and all those Stanley Cup playoff games that we're going to have this spring. Yeah. And during the off season as well. We never have an off season at Forever Blueshirts. And of course, we'll continue with the podcast as well during the off season, talking all things New York Rangers. And guess what? The countdown is on to that off season. That's right. 5 games remaining in the regular season. And you tell me, you think the Rangers are going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs right now? Listen, I have been saying, even during their swoon in November and December, you hear me week after week saying, you know what? They've got the most talent on the roster. They're the most experienced team that's fighting for that last playoff spot. They're going to find a way, or other teams just won't get it done. And there for a while, we saw that happening. The Montreal Canadiens, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings, even the Boston Bruins going back a couple months. All these teams kept just failing to grab hold of that second wild card in the Eastern Conference. Oh, but guess what? When that door was kicked open and the opportunity was there for the New York Rangers, they also did not seize hold of that opportunity to grab the second wild card, grab that last playoff spot from the Eastern Conference. And now here we are. 5 games left on the schedule. 6 points back of Montreal, because guess what? While the Rangers are stumbling and fumbling and kicking away points in some of the most just unwatchable fashion, what do the Montreal Canadiens do? Yeah, the Montreal Canadiens, team really filled with good young players, but, not a whole heck of a lot of, grizzled playoff veterans. They have some, but not a lot. Certainly not recently. But the Montreal Canadiens, what have they done? They won 5 in a row. They have grabbed hold, sunk their teeth into the second wild card in the Eastern Conference. The Rangers, 6 points back now, 5 games to play. Could be worse by Wednesday morning, because if Montreal defeats Detroit, adds another point or 2, a point if they lose in overtime, or 2 points if they win in any fashion, that really could be it for the Rangers. But as we speak right now, the tragic number for the New York Rangers is 5. So to figure all this out, we go to that noted hockey philosopher, well known, the voice of reason, the voice of understanding in a crisis moment like this, Johnny Brodzinski. That's right, Johnny Brodzinski. Johnny Brodzinski says, this situation sucks. Have you seen or heard anybody describe this situation better than that? Simple, straight, to the point, and spot on. Bang on, right? Johnny Brodzinski nailed it last night. This situation sucks. And it does. And it seems that it was so avoidable. Even with Montreal winning, 5 in a row down the stretch here, now extending their lead, what are they going to finish with at the end of the regular season? 91, 92 points? If they continue to finish really strong, maybe 90, maybe even under 90. But, let's give them at least 90, right? 90, 91, 92, somewhere in there. That's not a great, finish for 8th place for the last final playoff spot. You tell the Rangers at the beginning of the year, hey, you need 90 points. You'll at least get into the playoffs. Yeah. Sign up for that. With our roster, and our history, our experience, our coach. Yeah, not so much. So this was so avoidable. So today and in the following podcast, And once we get into the off season, and we're going to invite more guests in here to break this down as well, get different opinions. But I want to discuss, and again, today we'll get a little bit into it, but over the ensuing shows and weeks, why this was avoidable. Because it was, right? And it's because it was avoidable that this situation sucks, like Johnny Brodzinski says. So Johnny he also went on to say, hey, listen, we got to run the table, right? After the loss yesterday to the Tampa Bay Lightning, we got to run the table, right? No argument there. And then even if we do run the table, guess what? We need a lot of help. We need some breaks along the way. Tragic number is 5. Unbelievable. Unavoidable. And so much different from a year ago at this time. Not even just the wins and the point totals, but how they got there, right? That was such a likable team, right? No quit in New York. Man, they lived up to that marketing slogan, right? You never felt that the Rangers were out of a game last year. Really, honestly, never. Never did you feel like that group was out of a game. Like Brodzinski again, I'm going to quote him again or refer to his quotes from last night again. Yeah, when he said, we'd be down 2 or 3 goals heading into the third period. We believed we could still win. We knew we could do it. We could get it done. There was that confidence there, that swagger, even when they weren't good, even they were having a bad night. There was that swagger. You know what? We're down 2, but Igor's not going to allow another goal. He's going to give us a chance. And you know what? We're going to get a power play. And we're going to bang home a power play goal. Now we're down 1. And Igor's not allowing another one. And we're going to get that next goal, if not the next 2. We're going to win this thing. Regulation overtime. And they did. The comeback wins last year by this team. Whether they fell behind early, fell behind late, just trailed after 20 minutes, trailed after, we're into the third period. They were never out of it, this team. Never. And that cast of characters is back again this season. So what the hell is going on? This team folds like a cheap tent, right? I hate using cliches, but really they do. Fold like a cheap tent. Something bad happens, or they fall from behind, or they fall behind, and they're done. They're cooked. Do you know? You probably have heard this, and certainly if you read my work at Forever Blueshirts, you know this. I've referenced it in a couple stories. No team in the NHL this season, except your New York Rangers, has failed to overcome a multiple goal deficit to come back and win at least one time this season. 31 teams have done it at least one time, if not multiple times, right? I mean, we're talking about, hey, it's 2-0, 8 minutes into the game. We still have 52 minutes to play. Or sometimes it's, 2 minutes down late in the third period. Because guess what? The Rangers have been the team leading by 2 goals late in the third period. And have blown leads. Game goes to overtime and they lose. So that team chalked up one of those wins that the New York Rangers doesn't have this year. Because they've been incapable of coming back when they fall down by multiple goals. And guess what? In that is another horrendous statistic, right? That one's bad enough. But here's another terrible statistic. The New York Rangers have allowed multiple goals in under 2-minute spans. Okay? So you got that? Multiple goals, 2, 3 goals in under 2 minutes, 23 times this season. 23. They have done that, including in each of their last 2 games, which we'll get to in a minute. 23 times. 6 teams in the NHL have done that, including the Rangers. The other 5 already eliminated from playoff contention. The Rangers looking like they're soon to follow suit. That's not a good recipe. That means you collapse. Doesn't mean, we gave up a bad goal or we just gave up a goal. Or the other team is surging. They've got momentum. The Rangers don't have an answer. How is this possible? How is this possible with that group and how they played last season? Right? Really? That's at the crux of everything here. Like, take your, players are angry at Chris Jury stuff and Jacob Trouba trade and Barkley Goodrow this and that, and whatever. Take all that stuff. It's secondary to trying to figure out why we are here today from where they were a year ago at this time. Man, night and day. So again, 23 times the Rangers basically implode. They don't have the resourcefulness to handle the adversity and the momentum swings. So one goal literally within a minute or seconds becomes two. Or if it's their game against Tampa Bay Lightning Monday night at the Garden, it's three. 3 goals in a minute 45. A game that the Rangers came out the right way. They took it to the Tampa Bay Lightning, took it to them. All over Tampa Bay, 5-on-5, all over them. They looked like a team that was hungry, desperate. And you know what? That was a team that was going to pick up 2 points on an idle Montreal Canadian team and just make Montreal think just a little bit, huh? Yeah, these Rangers, we thought we had pushed them back, but here they come. Pressure's on us. That's the experienced team. We're not. Start causing doubt in their head, right? Nah, not these New York Rangers. Not at all. Scoreless game. Rangers can't find a way to beat Andrei Vasilevsky. And listen, you can bitch and moan about that too. If you're a Ranger fan, Panarin missed this opportunity. Lafreniere can't score. Whatever your example is. Okay, fair enough. But Andrei Vasilevsky was also in the midst of a great game. He's playing lights out. Okay? So give him his credit there. So it's 0-0. You're the better team. Boom. Power play. Now, this wasn't one of those crappy power plays we've seen over the last month, really, all season for the New York Rangers. That power play was pretty good. Rangers had 5 shots on goal on their first power play there in the first period against Tampa. They took it to him. Vasilevsky again made some really big saves. Rangers were getting the puck to the net. They were getting bodies to the net. They were doing the right things. They moved the puck around well. They created scoring opportunities on their power play. It was one of those moments where you could say, even if they didn't score on that power play, guess what? Our power play gave us momentum, or in this case, continued to give us momentum because the Rangers already had the momentum. They were the better team. It came out flying out of the gates. And Tampa looked like the team that was like, all right, la-di-da. We've got our playoff spot. Yeah, we're fighting for first place in the Atlantic Division, but, we'll turn it on when we have to. Well, a couple things happen here. One, during a TV timeout, John Cooper blows up his team on the bench. The Lightning coach, who I respect as much as any coach that I've ever dealt with in this game, working 30 years in the NHL as I have so much respect for John Cooper. I think he's one of the best coach intellectually, as a communicator, as a motivator, as a tactician, as a big game coach. He's as good as they come. So what does he do? TV timeout. He tears into his team on the bench for their lackadaisical, just really terrible start. So that's one. It's one little turning point there, right? Then there are the Rangers. They're on this power play, creating momentum, 5 shots on goal. Oh, Chris Kreider takes a hooking penalty, negates the rest of the power play. It was under a minute to go. So now you're 4-on-4. And Tampa will eventually get a power play. And here comes the implosion. Because not only does the Ranger power play suck this year, 27th in the NHL right now. They were 3rd in the NHL last year, 27th right now. But okay. Their PK recently has been atrocious. They were top 3 in the league for quite a while, top 4 in the league for quite a while. They're now down to 7th, 8th, and falling right now. They allowed 3 power play goals last night. Oh, wait, that means I just gave away the spoiler because you know what's coming here. Boom. Kreider in the box. Lightning power play goal. Nice backdoor pass. Listen, it's good hockey. It's Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, two of the best in the game, combining, right? But Will Cooley is a step slow getting back. Kucherov gets behind him. Bing, bang, boom. It's in the back of the net. Here we go. Okay. Right? Okay. You've played good hockey to that point. You get beat by their power play. All right. Lesson learned. Let's stay out of the box, but let's continue the momentum. Not these New York Rangers. Seconds later, turnover, offensive zone or defensive zone, by the Rangers. Vinny Trocheck gives it up. And here comes Tampa. Shot towards the net, gets blocked by Soucy. Yanni Gourde takes it out of his skates, falling down to the ice, backhands one past the diving Igor Shesterkin. Soucy is like looking around like this. And meanwhile, the red light's flashing and it's 2-0 in a heartbeat. Oh, let's make matters even worse. Let's implode even more. So Sam Carrick takes a penalty 9 seconds later. And I don't know about you, but I'm watching the game and there's no belief that they're going to kill off this penalty. There's no belief that, hey, the Rangers are going to answer back and Zibanejad and Kreider are going to have a 2-on-1 shorthanded rush. Maybe they're going to score, maybe they don't, but they're going to swing the momentum back the other way because guess what? For years, we were kind of built to believe that's what was going to happen because that's what the Rangers did, not just last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, really for the previous 3 seasons, that's been the case. They found a way to turn the momentum back their way. Okay, we're down 2-0. That was a terrible stretch of hockey. It's 2-0. We've played well. Let's pick it up. Let's go from here. Nope. There's got to be one more dagger. 3 goals in 1 minute, 45 seconds. Another power play goal. Another backdoor play. This one can really make you lose your mind, though. Braden Point is outmanned by Rangers at the far post. Here's Igor stretched out, like no man should ever be able to stretch his groin out, right? Trying to keep that puck out of the net. And there's Braden Point. There's Vincent Trocheck, and a little late to the party, but here comes Braden Schneider as well. Guess who wins the battle? Not Shesterkin, and I don't blame him. Stretched out like that, just desperately trying to keep it out of the net. Certainly not Vincent Trocheck. And like I said, Braden Schneider late to the party. He didn't win the battle either. Braden Point wins the battle. Pushes that puck inside the far post. Puts it into the back of the net. 3-0. 3 goals, minute 45. Yeah, the Rangers responded. Well, they didn't respond immediately. Tampa probably could have made it 4 or 5-0. They just owned the puck. It was like the Harlem Globetrotters from back in the day. If you remember, if you're old enough to remember, as a kid, you had the Curly Neal and Meadowlark Lemon would toss that ball around. Well, that's what the Lightning looked like. The Rangers couldn't touch the puck for like a 5-6 minute stretch. But okay, Rangers did eventually collect themselves, right? And you get to that second period. They score 3.5 minutes in. They score a power play goal. Wasn't the most beautiful thing. It goes in off Mika Zibanejad's skate, but Mika's in the right spot. He was in front of the net, right? He's above the blue paint. He's in front of the net. He's hoping for a puck on his stick. It hits his skate instead. It goes in the net. Doesn't matter. It's in the right place. Power play goal, 3-1. Couple things stand out here. 1, Rangers don't score the rest of the game, right? 2, there was no joy in this, right? Even the fans at the Garden, they were like, sure, they're happy. The goal song goes off. There's not this feel that here we come. All right, we had that brutal stretch. We had a great start. We had that brutal stretch. But here we are, a new period, still a lot of hockey to go. Right? We still have, at that point, 36 minutes to play. Here we go. We got one off the skate. We did the right thing. We got a body to net. Oh, maybe the dam's going to burst. We got ourselves a power play goal finally. Right? None of it. You see Mika's face? You talk about a guy who just looks just mentally worn out. And even when something good happens, I don't see the joy whatsoever in Mika and in a lot of his teammates as well. Not everybody, but enough. And maybe it's just the pressure, and it's the months of failure and disappointment and letdowns, individually and collectively, that maybe he can't even enjoy that moment. Rangers, listen, they played pretty well the rest of the way, right? But again, who scores the backbreaking goal on the power play? That's right, Tampa does. In the third period, they bury it. Point scores again. It's 4-1. It's over. Similar breakdown in New Jersey on Saturday afternoon. I had a scoreless game. Rangers, there were a lot of things that they could feel really good about. And then, a minute 27 stretch, I think it was. They take a penalty. They lose the faceoff. Nico Hischier wins the faceoff for the Devils. And you talk about, as it gets drawn up on the board, Hischier back to Luke Hughes. Quick feed into the circle. Timo Meier, who drifts away from his check. Meier's wide open. JT Miller desperately tries to get there. He's like a step and a half late. Meier wires it into the net. 1-0. Okay. Not great, but it's 1-0. We're playing well. Oh, Ranger penalty. Devils penalty. Rangers, golden chance. I know our power play is struggling, but here's our opportunity. And what happens? Cough it up. 2-on-1 shorthanded. Jesper Bratt puts it in the back of the net. Just like that. Under 2 minute span again. One of the 23 this season. 2-0. You lose 4-0. In must-win games. Must-win games. No quit New York. That's the way it used to be. Instead, what do you get? You get Dave Maloney with a classic telling Donnie LaGreca on the broadcast Saturday. Brain dead sequence by the Rangers. Man, how many times can you use that line for this season? Really, go back, watch the games, right? And try and collect in your mind, in your file of watching Ranger games this season. How many brain dead moments have there been? Man, there have been a lot. A lot. Artemi Panarin after the game yesterday, and I get it. His English, he didn't talk to reporters a lot. He's very careful what he says. Listen, English isn't his first language. I get it. But he was speaking with reporters last night or, Monday night. And he just simply said, he's almost incredulous. This year, everything is harder for us. Everything. Offensive zone, defensive zone, everything is harder for us. It's such a simple comment, but it's so spot on. Kind of like Johnny Brodzinski, right? This situation sucks. Where what was routine last year is now like climbing Mount Everest this season. It's crazy. How did we get here? We're going to be exploring that for the coming weeks because we're going to hit the offseason sooner than not. Okay, Will Cooley did tell me that with a little bit of luck, Rangers not mathematically eliminated. They just got to keep winning one game at a time. And it's the right approach if you're a player. You can't think of the big picture here. Even though Johnny Brodzinski said, hey, listen, we got to win out and get some luck. He's right. Will Cooley's right. You got the Flyers and Islanders back to back. Got to win them both. Should win them both. Those teams have nothing to play for. Islanders, I guess, mathematically alive, but okay. Really, those teams have nothing to play for. You should run them out. Run the Flyers out of the Garden. Go into UBS 24 hours later and grind your way to a win. Find a way. Will they do it? These are the 24-25 Rangers. Who knows? Now, I was talking with Brandon London. I was his guest today, or Tuesday, on his New York Post, like 5-minute segments. I don't even know he has a name for it. But if you go to the Post website, you can see it. I know he's tweeted it out. I'll retweet it. I'll get it out there on X. But I was, his guest, and he's asking me, these questions about, what's wrong here? Every time I go on with him, what's wrong here? He puts me on the spot to try and find answers. Well, one of the big answers is, how did we get here? And we're going to talk about that. And Brandon and I talked about, do players quit? Is there, do they have no fire? Do they quit on a coach? Do they look checked out? That's a tough thing to say about a professional athlete. And I know teams have gotten coaches fired before. I don't want to play for that. I'm sick of this guy. I'm not playing for this guy. I don't know that that's the reason here. There is something fundamentally wrong with the Rangers. And it goes so far and beyond the X's and O's, the power play this, the penalty kill that, Alexi Lafreniere's got 2 goals in 25 games. Mika Zibanejad scored only, 17 goals this season. I get it. Those are tangible things, tangible reasons. But there's something bigger, darker, big dark cloud that's settled around this team. What is it? It's got to be more than, we're pissed about Barclay Goodrow and Jacob Trouba. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't think it's that. And as Brandon and I were talking off camera, and I said to him, you're a professional athlete, wide receiver for the Giants and Dolphins, a couple teams. You didn't care, right? You might get angry at management. You might get angry at your coaches. But at the end of the day, who do you play for? And he said exactly what I was thinking. He said, I play for the guy next to me. And the guy next to me and the guy across the room in the dressing room. We play for each other. That's what players do. That's what being a professional athlete is. You close ranks. It's about the boys in the room. But it's not happening this year with the Rangers. So what is at the core of what is fundamentally wrong with this New York Ranger team? And like I said at the top, we're going to explore this. We're going to bring guests in. We're going to talk. We're really going to try and drill down on this. I got to tell you, I know they don't have a lot of salary cap space. I think the Rangers have some major reconstruction ahead of them on their roster this offseason. Have to. And we'll get into the specifics. I'll take your opinions on it. Some people want the coach to stay. Most of them want him to go. Some want the GM to stay. A lot of people want him to go. A lot of people want Mika gone. He's the problem. Mika and Kreider, Keandre Miller, whatever. But we really need to start getting into the specifics. But on a bigger level, what the hell is going on here? Right? You play for the guy next to you. Play for the guy across from you. This team isn't linked like that. They seemed so tight last year. And that's where that success came from. Never out of any game. This year, the exact opposite. Soft mentally. Are they playing for each other? What's the problem inside that room? Because I think that's where the issue is. And certainly it carries over onto the ice. And systems, man-to-man defense in their own end. They're a slow team. Any team that can skate in this league exposes the New York Rangers. So we'll get to that too. That's something they need to address. But in any case, just kind of putting a bow on this, we're going to look to kind of resume this conversation. I want to get your feedback on X at Jim Cerny at Forever Blueshirts. And I want to work your thoughts, your opinions into upcoming podcasts. We're going to bring in some good guests as well. Maybe even at the end of the week, maybe after the Flyer and Islander games, maybe we'll reconvene on Friday and we'll do this again and get somebody in and we'll talk more. We'll see where the Rangers sit at that point. It could be out of it by that point, right? Montreal wins and the Rangers lose too, right there. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could be over by time we reconvene. So in any case, deep breath. And I appreciate all of you Ranger fans tuning in here because guess what? I've gotten so many messages on social media, fans saying that they're checked out. I want nothing to do with this team or this, iteration of the team. I want to see what they're going to do, how they're going to improve it. I want to think ahead to next year. I don't want any more of this team. But if you're out there and you feel that way, I appreciate that you're still out here and care enough to tune in to Rink Rap with me, Jim Cerny, to keep checking out our website, foreverblueshirts.com, because the rest of the regular season, playoffs or no playoffs, early off season, longer off season, whatever it's going to be, we're here for you, all things New York Rangers. So thanks for tuning in today. And again, I think we're going to probably do this on Friday again. We'll double up this week. I think it's worth it. And we'll bring in, maybe we'll get LaGreca in here, maybe Dave Maloney, get somebody angry and fired up. And we'll talk about the Rangers and where we're at by the end of the week, where they're at, see if they're still breathing, see if they're still on life support. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time right here on Rink Rap.